Imagine your birds are feeding so well, drinking water so well, laying so well. Then it gets in the evening and all of a sudden, out of 100 birds, you lose like 20. They didn't show any signs of sickness. They didn't show any signs of stress. What is the main cause of SDS? What is the main cause of sudden death syndrome? And today we discuss in detail what are these main causes of death in birds that are not related to diseases. What are these things that would cause deaths and bring losses to you as a farmer, make you more poor just from the death of the birds, because they're things you don't know how to control, and they bring mortalities big time. Remember, have you ever collected eggs from the birds and you find that the shell is very thin? When you read books, some books will tell you this is as a result of increased heat, or this is as a result of challenging age. Okay? When you have too much heat, as a layers farmer, your eggshells will be so weak or so thin. What causes this? Greetings to you all, guys, and if you're new to our YouTube channel, guys, just hit the subscribe button, like and share to as many friends as you can. This is a platform for us to educate each other and empower each other, just for the sake of our success and for the sake of our financial and hunger freedom. I love you all. You are a farmer. You've done a very nice house. Everything is good. And you're expecting the birds to gain weight at the required time. You're telling your friends, hey, my birds are ready within 4 months. Within 4 weeks. I'm going to dispose my broilers to the market. You're telling your friends, hey, I'm going to start collecting eggs by week 16. Then all of a sudden, you feed the birds very well in the morning. They've taken water very well during the day. But during the evening, you're losing like 20 birds out of 100. And you're like, what the hell? What is this? There is something called heat stress. Heat stress is so hazardous. And actually, I would say heat stress or problems related to heat are the ones that cause loss of birds by about 80% in most farmers. Do not feed birds during the hottest times of the day. Why? During the hottest times of the day, there is much flow of blood in the system of the bird is directed to go under the skin, so that heat is lost through the skin. We have something called vasodilation of the blood vessels. Okay? Now, during these particular times, why do we say do not feed birds during the hottest times of the day? Remember, when the blood is pumped to the lower surface of the skin, there is less blood in the gut. When there is less blood in the gut, it simply means that there is less oxygen for digestion. What does it say? If we have feed in the gut of the bird, there are two scenarios that are likely to occur. One, either we shall have indigestion or improper digestion, whereby we shall have the feed defecated but with much nutrients. The bird will not gain weight at the right time. the bird will not produce the right number of eggs. That is the first scenario. The second scenario, if we have feed in the gut and there is less oxygen, the gut is likely to get damaged, or the gut is likely to get to collapse. And when the gut collapses, we are losing the bird. Now, look at this scenario. We are losing the bird, we are losing feed. Some birds, due to their genetic makeup, can adapt to such conditions. Okay? But some birds, their genetic makeup will not allow them to adapt to such harsh conditions. Remember, in 12 months of the year, we don't have the same climatic factors. Sometimes of the year, the heat or the temperatures outside go so high, and therefore we experience such scenarios as farmers. Now, it is important as a farmer that you pay attention to the stocking density. That's a topic of another day. It is important as a farmer that you pay attention to the ventilation of the structure and the height of the wall plate from the floor. These are the factors that would help us now try to control heat. Now, during these such times, stress hormones are very important. The stress hormones will try to reduce the stress in the system of the bird so that the bird can be able to digest, then gain the required weight and produce more eggs. But now the bad news is that when the bird is this stressed by heat during these times, it might not even produce the stress hormones. That's a challenge. So then, how do we induce production of the stress hormones so that our production of eggs or gaining of weight is maintained? Introduce vitamin C in high volumes, mostly through water. When the bird consumes vitamin C through water, then it produces stress hormones, which can help counter the stress generated as a result of heat. Okay? During these times, for a bird or for layers farmers, it is then important that you not only introduce vitamin C in the water, but supplement also with sodium bicarbonate. Why do we say so? During extreme temperatures in layers, there is less feed intake. Therefore, there is a drop in egg production. And again, the fewer number of eggs that are being produced have their shells very thin. Therefore, you lose more eggs because of being rejected in the market or because of cracking or breaking before they get the market. What is the cause and how can we control this? During increased temperatures, there is increased respiration, and therefore there is increased expiration of CO2, carbon dioxide. When we have so much expiration of carbon dioxide from the bird's system, it simply means that the blood of the layer chicken becomes alkalinized. Therefore, there is a high demand for hydrogen bicarbonate in order to have the acid-base imbalance sorted. But remember, we need a very high amount of hydrogen bicarbonate in calcification, which is simply we need a very high amount of hydrogen bicarbonate in formation of the eggshell. Therefore, because of the heat stress, the hydrogen bicarbonate in the system of the bird is therefore used to balance the acid and the base in order for the bird not to collapse. Because now at this point, egg production is not a priority for the survival of the bird, which is a priority for you as the farmer. because you're not seeing what is happening in the system of the bird. You're only seeing a sharp decline in the egg count. You're only seeing shell-less eggs, or only seeing eggs produced that are very thin shelled. Then you're stressed. The bird tried to survive. And therefore it simply means that, again, pay attention to the stocking density. It simply means, again, do not feed the bird during very hot hours. And it simply means that supplement hydrogen bicarbonate in the water of the bird, so that there is surplus and it can be used in calcification or formation of the shell of the egg. That is how beauty poultry farming and poultry signals are. How do you, as a farmer, get the telltale signs and know that these birds are not doing well? Very easy. Look at the comb and the wattle of the bird. When the comb is pale in color, that tells you that there is respiratory dysfunction. And when you see the comb is bluish, purplish in color, it can be a symptom of E. coli infection. And when you see the comb is shrunken, then that simply tells you dehydration. The birds are not having enough water. If you're using the nipple system or the cage system, maybe some nipples are blocked. And if you're using the depleter system, it can tell you that maybe the drinkers are not sufficient. Sometimes you could be using water that is so rich or so high in lime, and therefore reducing the affinity of the birds to consume the same. Now, when you look at your bird's feet and toes, how should they be like? Sometimes you'll see there are swellings on the bird's feet, or you'll see the scales are not smooth. But mostly pay attention to the lower part of the feet. When you see the feet have swellings and they look like a little bit soiled, that tells you that the litter or the bedding you're using is either sharp or too moist for the same. And when you touch the feet of the bird and you find that it's hot or there are swellings, that means that there could be fractures on those particular feet. Therefore, it's very important to pay attention to such minor things, because these are things that would lead to less weight gain for broilers or less egg count for layers. Now, a very key aspect, and this is very important in farmers who are doing egg production or layers. Hold the bird and hold the chest or the breast of the bird. During the growing stages, the breast of the bird appears sharp and wedge-like. But during production, a good breast of the bird then should appear filled with flesh. Of course, not so fat, because this will lead to obesity. But when you touch the breast, it's during laying time, but you find that it's still blade-like, it's thin. That tells you that the feed you're giving the birds is not rich in proteins. Therefore, the bird is suffering from a protein deficiency. Of course, during production, most of the proteins will be taken to egg formation, the egg yolk. And therefore, it's important then that supplement your feed with the required amount or sufficient amount of protein. Now, today, we have learned what is the main cause of sudden death syndrome in birds. What is this thing that makes our birds just die all of a sudden? You have the answer of why your birds drop egg production all of a sudden, or why they produce very thin-shelled eggs. As a farmer, you have an answer on how you can control the same through using the correct stocking density or through building the rightful structures that will help you regulate these conditions. And as a farmer, you've understood that you should not feed your birds during very hot hours so that you can pay attention to control of humidity and control of temperature. Remember, we brooded our birds, so now we are preparing them for laying. And therefore, I can't wait to meet you in our next episode as we take the birds towards laying. Love you so much. Enjoy your day.